I do just want to clarify that we will supply as much information back to the legislator, senator, or representative that we are allowed to supply. So we may just be able to touch base and say we're working on it or whatever, but we do have some constraints on information we can share back. We'll do the best to keep the legislative body informed.
And these constraints are from the federal government.
They are privacy and security.
On the third,
Senator Craven.
I defer.
Representative Baird, Jody.
Thank you, Senator. I just want to take and not miss this opportunity to follow up on the point that Senator Lawrence has made on this very important issue that it is our consensus, is the sense it's inappropriate that if there are barriers that they continue even for another minute. Okay? So by bringing this up, what if anything, saying the fact what if anything can then happen? Is this something where a rule is not followed, or this incentives of the sort are not permitted, that are being missed, what might happen from this?
Again, I need more information, and I need to be able to go back and talk to the right people. I don't have any of those answers for you today.
Especially as regards women who are literally looking to change their lives, children, and struggling obviously with assault abuse, and they're doing their best. Then, this was some rule, their survival is at risk. Children, it's hoping something to be done quickly.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I see Chair Harper looking over there, and I'm just feeling very invisible. But here you are. So I would like to have an update on Riverview, how the CMS kind of correction is going, and some more questions, but if you could update us on that.
Certainly, my name is Jay Harper. I'm the superintendent.
Excuse me, Mr. Cutler, could you bring that a little closer to me?
Sorry, I have a
Thank you.
little grabber voice. My name is Jay Harper. I'm the acting superintendent. Basically, I say, first of all, CMS, there's no plan of correction because of the CMS accreditation process. They are treating us as if we are a new facility. We make all the standards for them. So the last time they did a review, a survey review a year ago, they had 8 what they call conditions, which are the major points that we have lots of standards that we that they identified that we had not met. Had we missed one or 8 doesn't make a difference. We understand it's got to get them all to get accreditation. So between that time, that was about half a year before I came as acting superintendent. We've been working on looking at their recommendations, looking at the things that they identified as not being completed correctly by their standard. We basically divided that whole package up into things that were directly related to people issues, security, safety, human rights, racism, things like that. And secondarily, the paper packages of recommendations. And limited resources, we basically triage and looked at all the people issues first. We concentrated on bringing the paper issues up behind them. So when the survey was done this last time, what we found was that we did a good job on those things that we did concentrate on. There were 8 issues in total as conditions. 7 of those conditions had to do with people and rights issues. One had to do with the treatment plan, which is very critical. We made the 7 conditions that had to do with rights, grievances, issues of whether there was a concern around abuse. The issue that we did not meet the standard on, so by not meeting this last standard, we still ended up with no accreditation. That last standard had to do with both the formatting of our treatment plan and making sure that notes relative to people's actual treatment was correctly recorded and linked to the plan in such a way that it acts basically like a contract between us and the federal government. We tell them what we're going to deliver, and that's the plan. and then we show the delivery is taking place. And the times when we can't deliver, because patients have the right to refuse treatment, we need to document that we take exceptional efforts to try to find another avenue to get the patient to be involved in that treatment. Quite honestly, the old treatment plans, which had been accepted for years, were this time critiqued quite appropriately by CMS in terms of their thoroughness and completeness of it. That required for us, as we've now reapplied for another survey, we spent July looking at their comments and totally revamped our treatment plan format right around their standards. We just completed in 10 days, we basically brought everybody in the hospital up on the new model plan. And now we're in the process of a training program for different clinical professions to show them how to write the notes again against the CMS standards to link into the plan. So our hope is, and our strong belief is, that in fact, by keeping up all the efforts that we had met so far, and by getting this last piece put in place, we should be able to go to CMS and gain the accreditation that we deserve. There are many, many very hardworking people at Riverview every day who work 24/7, 365 days. It's not like the example that many of them use is if I was a teacher, I would know I got Christmas off for family. And here I never know, because it's a constant rotating assignment of shifts, changes in due dates and overtime that are required. But they've worked really hard at this effort, which is led by the clinical director to do this treatment. We're basically driving through the organization, so virtually every staff member will be able to identify with this plan process, the assumptions in this treatment plan, how the records need to be kept. We audit our own records now, basically weekly, to make sure that we're getting whatever the last ones are that are done the right way. We're not there yet. This is a cultural change that's occurring at the professionals level. And we made a decision, which I think is really appropriate, because Riverview operates in many ways like a family, to take all this stuff that's clinical, and we've now started to spread it out over. I started a senior management group and basically the groundskeepers, the maintenance people, people in the food processing, all looking at the same material that we're working on daily, even though it's not their responsibility. They get to comment on it, they get ideas, pick up some good things we haven't even thought about. You get so into it, but you can't kind of see practically simple. So we're hoping that by the end of this month, we'll have our training models set up in place and have gotten through the top 2 or 3 tiers of managers, mid-managers, down to the line staff in terms of their understanding of how techniques needed to make those plans become real living bodies.
Well, thank you very much. I know a lot of people have a lot of serious questions of you, but I have a frivolous question that I want to ask. I have heard through the grapevine that you have changed your name out front, but in reality you haven't changed your name. And I must admit, when I heard that, I was thinking, wow, they're putting time and energy into a sign that's not even real. And I would love an answer for doing something like that when it just doesn't seem to make any sense. Thank you.
First of all, let me make it clear that that was a decision on my part. It was related to two separate meetings. Monthly meetings that the superintendent meets with patients. There are no staff allowed there. Patients basically bring a lot of issues forward. Some of them are individual complaints. But it was interesting because there's been this discussion, which occurred along the times when I was gathering here. Patients being, as they told you, as clients, and the sense was that they really have no hope. They're just kind of stuck there and they label with your diagnosis, and that's kind of the end of your life. And the commonality amongst the consumer groups is to have this vocabulary around the concept of recovery. We recover, go back to being whole people. Ideally, the structure should be to help us get jobs, return to families or communities, and take on regular life. And the comment that was made to me was, we need to talk about that, Jay. Let's be right up front about it. As soon as they said right up front, I said, great idea, let's put the name right up front. But we've changed other things too. We That was basically a 3-minute decision looking at doing that. Put recovery in the name, put recovery in the name of the newsletter, put recovery in the name of the training program. So it wasn't staff training, it was now recovery training. And virtually open for everything. So
And I think that we totally agree on with the concept, but the problem is, and the problem with CMS as well, is that people are stuck there, and we have no place to release them. And so, the sign isn't going to change that.
I want to clarify, CMS's problem has to do with the treatment plans. It's not on discharge of the patients.
I believe some of our Thank you. My question is about the treatment plan, and I want to apologize in advance. You really are going to hear that probably I have some technical questions about it. So I'm wondering, treatment is something that every provider has to do with regards to medical treatment. And there's been stories to think about how the treatment plans are probably so that recently. But I wonder if you could tell me detail how the treatment plans are done. Is it electronic medical record? Do people see the goals they have? Is it something that people are very easily able to document what the goals are in the hospital for the patient? I know you know what I'm asking you, and
I think so. So let me go through some of the details
Okay.
a little bit, but I think they have.
and you can get really wonky on me because I do this every day.
No, they basically explained the disconnect that had occurred over years. I mean, this has been a slowly drifting use of the treatment plan to be basically a philosophical document, as opposed to a practical document that says, here's a patient, here's their goal, where they want to go, here's what a doctor says relative to describing that relative as a provider for treatment, and that gets negotiated and then it gets memorialized in the treatment. So we just kind of moved to the point where pretty soon the plans didn't make much sense. So what we're doing, and what CMS has basically said is, start simple, don't get yourself so complicated that you're always shooting yourself in the foot. And what they said was, give us a working diagnosis that you will start with the patient. Now, just so everyone understands, when a patient comes into Riverview, they are given an immediate diagnosis that's done at the admission process. That's not what CMS is asking us to do. They're basically saying, take the time to know the patient. You have to do the first one you don't start. And after you've had them for a week or two, you start to work with them, you talk with them, you listen to where they want to go with their life, you come up with a diagnosis. And from that diagnosis, using their using the DSM-4/5 at this point, I'm not sure which one is going to be playing out here. The diagnosis tells you the characteristics in terms of behavior that the patient is supposed to exhibit in order to support that. And then so what you're saying, so you look at the diagnosis, you look at the characteristics and attributes of that diagnosis, and then treat specifically those attributes. So they're asking for it to be very simple diagnosis, the symptomatology of it that supports it, and then how you would treat each one of those symptoms. Now, in many cases, you end up with possibly 10, 15 symptoms. But again, they're saying, so you really want to concentrate on one or two relative to your diagnosis. Don't overcomplicate. When you get those two taken care of, move on down the road, but don't load up. You used to load it up. So the problem was, our plan would say, here's a person and they're suffering from an anxiety disorder, and then it gave 15 things we should do with the patient to help them deal with their anxiety disorder. The result was, by the time you get to number 10 below, you don't have any more resources to deliver the last 4. You're hoping that everybody wished to get to that. So what they're saying is, when you put it in the plan, we're going to say, show me where you did it, show me how you measured it. If you don't, we're going to deem it. So, and they said, you don't have to do all of that. So just give us the diagnosis, give us the symptoms, then give us the 3 or 4 strategies, not a long list of so everybody's happy. So from a patient's perspective, it was really interesting. They would go to a treatment plan meeting to look at this plan and try to make sure that it was their plan, that they involved themselves. And they would be singly at the room, at the running room table, and everybody who wanted to help them would be in the room trying to think what they could write to put in the plan. Well, 2 things happen. One is that the patient's totally overwhelmed. There's an incredible power and arrogance that occurs there when you've got a bunch of people with clinical things, each trying to talk in their language about what they could do. And the patient's kind of left to say, well, I want to do this or I don't want to do this. But the plan just would create itself, disciplines more than we have in the past. So we are learning right now to look a lot at psychiatric testing, psychological testing, neuropsych, and also look at OT, occupational therapy standards. Because when the person leaves, they have a life. So for them to know how to balance the books, how to cook for themselves, how to do it, is all very important. And the better they learn it in Riverview, the longer they will stay out of it. Because they can live a life and learn how to use natural supports in the community. So CMS repeatedly told us that you're making it too complex, you're making it too long, you're way exceeding your resource space in terms of the folks you have available to do that. And so then what they said, so you put in there, have the patient go to the treatment mall and take the group on dealing with anxiety. And the patient says, I refuse. I don't want to go, I'd rather stay and watch television, or I'm going to feel good today, I'm going to stay in bed, or I'm just not up to it. They could refuse for whatever reason. We would just write in the plan, refuse to go. And CMS said, well, what you need to do for us is to tell us when they refuse, which they have a right to do, what are you doing about it? You don't leave the patient there alone to deal with their issue. We're trying to say, take a second or third attempt to say, well, if we don't want to go to group, because it might be the group issue that's the issue, say, can we provide you individualized meeting with psychology department or clinical social worker, or could do counseling to work on the same issue. And if they refuse again, see if you have another way to do it, which might be, and we've expanded this at Riverview, peer groups. So we get a chance to talk to the peers about the value of taking some of the training and programs that are available there. We had all those as disconnects. We never had the diagnosis linked directly to the strategy. It was in there, but not a direct link. The strategy was never linked to a specific event that would occur and how it would be measured. And there was no linkage that say every time that the patient disengaged from the process the way we were intellectualizing it, we had a secondary backup plan to kind of come back and catch the patient where they were.
So what you're saying is CMS has been requiring long-term review to do what every other mental health provider has to do in the state. In other words, when someone walks in the door, these are the symptoms, therefore they need to bring care for such and such disorder. The problem has to match, what the diagnosis is, and then the goals have to match kind of what those symptoms are, and then your documentation has to match. These are the ways I've provided that, and if I can't in fact provide it, if the person isn't responding, I need to let them know it's there.
Yes, and I think
So that thread follows that person through the entire step.
CMS has clearly indicated to us that this is not a singular event. They are in the process of changing the way that they are looking at this relationship with hospitals. That what appears to be the next thing on the horizon is basically that after you do all of that, then you demonstrate that you're using verifiable measures that the person attended, and they kind of open the door that not only did they attend, but that we somehow were able to show that it made a difference. And the research base is pretty weak on what makes a difference. It's very strong for psychopharmacology because they have billions of dollars to put into that type of research. It's very hard for some of the softer stuff that are on counseling and group therapy programs, the reintroduction of back outside of nature, which CMS is allowing us to get in, just to make sure that we put it in a way that links back to what we're trying to resolve with it. And we at least demonstrate that the person has followed through on what it is.
Is there a way for treating professionals in Riverview to, do they document the stuff electronically? Is there a way for them to see what those goals are on the treatment plan? That way, the chances of actually documenting something that meets the requirements are that much higher.
It is electronic,
Okay.
and we're moving to, as you know, a new electronic medical record system for both hospitals and the state that's combined. The Maine Medical's actually the first facility to do that. And people are being trained, which is very helpful, that they get fully trained all the way through the organization on how to use that system so that they're able to do
So
that.
they'll be able to see that.
Yeah, I would be pleased to provide the committee members what the template looks like that now complies with the CMS
I would love that.
standards. And as I said, we're just kind of going in the process of now developing the training components. So we can train them to what the template looks like, but we're trying to also train them to what the notes really need to read like,
Yeah.
and how to be careful with the word choices used so you can show measures and metrics.
Thank you. Representative Fair.
sir, it's refreshing to hear your responses to Senator Lewis' questions. As a mental health professional myself, and my experiences as a drug support professional, and CRMA, etc. My trainings, you're bringing all that back, and in my view, you're hitting on all cylinders, which is refreshing. I also have a personal interest, as does most people in the room, with the Riverview program, whatever its name may be amended to be. I like your philosophies generally, inclusive, healing, recovery, all of that. I urge you to continue down that path for the patient, or client, or consumer involved, whatever the correct term is these days. I'm a member of your family, and I wanted to speak from that perspective. My mother spent many years in Riverview. Many here know that, and my brother as well. I've been visiting from when it was in the old stone facility over into the new one. It's remarkable how it has changed. Prompted by tragedy, yes, but it's changed. My concern is, my question is, are you getting enough money, and is that the solution? Because it doesn't seem to be the training. You're getting people from other, work careers who are transferring in and out working for you, where they're leaving from where you're at and going to other places fully employable. So they're obviously capable of being trained and are doing what the training requires. They're meeting standards. It looks like you're well on your way to now being recertified and all of that. I mean, that's all good news. But is this just a money issue? Is this just budget? And if you had the money, can you provide the service? And can we stop talking about at some point soon about this transferring people to Warren or to a prison environment where I'm most concerned as a member of the family, where natural supports, natural supports may not feel they can go to such a place, whereas they could go to a bank, they could go to more comfortably, and therefore be part of the healing plan, be part of the healing team. Is that in the plan? If you have enough money to operate so that you can not only do your job there, which I think is excellent, but also get away from this talk about putting people in prisons because they're not safe, because you don't have enough money for security, because you don't have enough money.
Well, let me respond to that. We're in the middle of obviously looking at this budget year and the 16-17 biennial budget. And quite honestly, the legislature provided a significant amount of resources to the hospital and 14 that then became available in July of this fiscal year 19. So we're still in the process of spending that out in a management plan. So it's difficult for me to say that there's a big dollar gap. We are also discovering that, as I'm kind of reintroducing myself into government management a little bit more, is that there's a difference between headcount and dollars available, and I have to be a little bit creative how to bring them together. And the result so far has been that we've been able to create internally all the additional positions that we needed because we had vacancies in the positions that were on hold.